That's different.
Yeah, like what's some like prejudices? You're angry about someone coming into your store because they're a different race that you don't like, and you're angry about that.
Okay.
Is it wrong to be angry about that? Because that's prejudice. I think that doesn't.
But they're slow to anger because they waited
They
few
waited to mess up
They
their
just
food.
turned really quickly.
No, but I'm saying, okay, so you feel the emotion. The emotion is not a sin, okay? But it's like it's like what you give it.
Right.
Power
No.
you
Yeah,
give
I
it.
get what you're saying.
It's
God,
like money.
God, yes, God values the heart behind. Yeah, it literally says in the Bible because you're talking about prejudice.
Mhm.
That's basically like hating someone, you know.
Yeah.
Um.
But I'm talking about like the anger aspect of it. Like you are so infuriated someone came into your store because
So that's hatred.
they have red hair.
That's hatred against
Yeah.
someone. But
And
the
it's also
emotion,
anger.
well, that's the core emotion that causes the hatred. But the hatred is the sin. The anger is not the sin.
Aren't anger and hatred
No.
the same thing?
No.
Does anger lead to hatred?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've let anger lead to hatred then.
Yeah, and that's a hard issue.
But like I'm talking about like okay you don't hate that person but you're just a little angry.
But then you do hate that person because
I
Because
don't
it's
know.
What is hate bad? Because
Yes.
No, but you have to hate sin. Hate the things God hates.
Okay. What is the
True.
root word of hate? Because it might have
That's
two
true.
different uses.
You know that?
No, I don't know.
I was like, dang.
No.
Better be pulling out the smart cards.
I know Grace is Jabik.
I feel like anger maybe isn't a sin, but it's like you don't just get a free pass to feel angry. I don't think that you should feel angry about certain things. I think that if it's sinful and you shouldn't feel angry about it, then you cannot feel angry about it.
Well, then if it's not justified, then it's just like anger has led you to a place of sin.
Yeah, but like it's just like what am I trying to say? I don't think so. You're saying like you can just feel the anger. Okay, how long can you feel the anger before it becomes sin?
Well, if you let it just like fester, that's
how
like
long?
holding a grudge.
How long does it take?
Well, I mean, Bible doesn't put a time limit on it, but it just says not long. So
Well, I'm saying that like you shouldn't really allow yourself to like as soon as you feel it, you shouldn't feel it anymore. Like, you should get out of it.
well, yeah, you should definitely make an like an effort not to let it fester.
Okay.
It's interesting.
But if you just feel anger, that's just like that's not a sin.
I don't know. I see personally
This isn't
for me, I cannot feel anger at all
You just can't.
No.
Oh, okay.
because if I even let myself feel it, it will take control of me.
Right.
So I just
But
I
that's
don't
you
even
not
think
letting.
that you should feel it.
Hmm.
You can recognize it and dispel it, but I don't know if you should.
Well,
feel
yeah,
it
you
yourself.
can. But I think you should recognize it immediately, and that's probably one of the ways you should deal with it to not let it fester inside of you.
Yeah.
I'd encourage you to rewatch our lesson on Sunday. It's like if you bottle up your emotions, that's one of the ways they're gonna just stay there. You know.
Yeah, I'm not saying
You can't
bottle
just
them up.
snuff it out. You know. You have to let it out, kind of.
And how would be letting it out in not a sinful way?
Well, I would suggest talking to someone about it. You know.
What about how you're
Confession
supposed
confession is a great way to deal with sin.
What
Yeah.
about how you're supposed to talk to God before you talk to anyone else?
Well, yeah, you can talk to God too.
So pray.
Yeah.
That's how you
Pray.
deal with that.
Obey. Confess. You know.
I'm
The whole
just
spiel.
my point though is I just don't really think that you should really feel it. Like you know how you say like it's okay to feel anger.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that's great to do. I think that you should I think the godly way to deal with it is to recognize that you're angry and then do whatever you can.
Well,
to
then
not
you
be
are angry. Then if you recognize that you're angry, then you are currently in anger. You know.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like when you're like, I'm so angry.
Okay.
And then you just like don't deal with it for like a second.
Well, you should deal with it. Yeah, I'm saying you should deal with it.
Okay.
But feeling it, like, that's not a sin. Like, if you just feel anger, and then you're like, oh, I feel angry right now. That's not a sin. You have to, like, you know.
What about when you know how the Pharisees are always angry at Jesus, or like the Sadducees? Like, is that always not a sin for them just to be angry?
No,
at
that's hatred.
Jesus?
That's a sin. Because that's hatred.
Okay, so it's
That
so
anger
hate-
has led them to the sin.
okay. So it's like
If they were angry and they said, you know what, I'm feeling angry right now.
it's like
They
when
just-
you're
they prayed.
so when you're too angry, that's when it becomes hatred and becomes a sin.
I mean, I don't know if you could quantify the anger and then that would just transform it into hatred. But I feel like anger and hatred are two different things. But anger leads to hatred.
Mhm.
And that's not the same as being too angry. You know.
Could be.
Okay.
We'll see about that one.
About that one. But no, anger leads to hatred. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And hatred is a sin.
Mhm.
But that is the sin. But the anger, which is just an elevated emotion, is not the sin.
Okay.
If you're angry at someone, that's hatred. You know.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah.
Mm,
It's a,
I
okay.
don't know.
It says
Jacob's
in the
problem.
Bible.
thanks, buddy.
Just like someone cuts you off on the freeway and you're like, ah, that's hatred?
Yeah.
No, I think that's anger.
I don't think so.
Hatred is like.
Well,
more
you're
like-
angry at them.
That's a low
I don't
bar
know.
for hatred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
All
think-
of you,
I think hatred takes a little more exposure than that. I think it's over time. It's different.
so being mad at someone is just a gray area between anger, the emotion, and hatred, the sin.
No, I think it's anger. I think it's sinning in your anger,
Right.
which is not necessarily hatred. That's just
So then what would you call it then?
not loving your brother and sister.
So just rudeness?
Yeah, just not
So
being
just-
loving.
Okay. So the opposite of being loved is either being impatient, unkind,
Yeah.
rude, you know? But all of those things aren't anger. They're their own thing. But
So
they come
anger
from
leads into
They
that.
can come from anger.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anger leads into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is not the same thing. They're not synonymous with anger. They're
Yeah,
their
I'm just
own
saying I don't think
thing.
it's hatred. Like I think that
Okay,
anger leads
fair
to
enough.
something else.
Fair enough. Yeah. It has its own term. Whatever you're feeling in the moment towards someone that feels like anger, but it's sinful. That would have its own term. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you're being a little bit impatient with a driver on the road. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they got my order wrong, and I'm gonna yell at them. That's being rude, you know. But that's not
Being a
the
Karen.
same. Well, yeah, yeah,
on the list.
yeah.
That's
That's not
not
the
much.
same thing as anger. But anger also leads to hatred. So.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe you can hate someone if you really let it fester. Like that's a stranger on the road, and you should never let it go. Sure. Then you run into them again. Maybe you can hate them then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is my opinion. I'm not saying that's biblical.
Mhm.
I'm just saying what I think.
Yeah, but I feel like in a way your emotional response to those sins is anger.
Mm-hmm.
It can be anger,
Yeah.
and probably can be confused as the same thing as anger. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It leads to different things,
Yeah.
not just hatred.
So then what? If anger can only lead to evil, and it also says that humanly anger does not lead to righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
Is there just like a different type of anger that leads to righteousness? Because you read in James 1, that anger does not lead to righteousness.
Well, what if it's
Maybe.
not
But
for humans.
what's the part that talks before it?
the
What's-
context?
Before what?
What's the verse beforehand?
Before James 1:20.
Well, okay. What if
Let's look it up.
human
James
anger
1:19.
can't produce anything good?
Yes. How about James?
But what if okay?
1:18.
So human anger can't produce anything good. But do you think it's possible for us to experience godly anger?
You're just the quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Just before that.
What's before?
Like be so connected to God that we're feeling His anger and not our anger.
Okay, but then if it says slow to become angry, and then the next verse says don't be angry, what?
I did say don't.
It doesn't say don't be angry.
Jacob, where'd you get don't be angry from?
So then what's James 1:20 say then?
It says because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires.
Okay, but
But
What
does it
if you could
produce-
feel?
So is there just like a
Does it
different
produce a
type of
righteousness
anger?
that God does not desire?
Guys, what if you can? Okay, so all human anger is bad. What if that's just true, and then you can feel God's anger? What if you're so connected to God that you can feel His anger, and then that is not a sin, and that
So-
can lead to righteous things
So you would just have
because you're not experiencing
Interesting.
human anger.
Mm.
So you experience God's anger.
So then what about cursing and anger? Ooh, that's a fun
That's a
topic.
sin.
That's-
It says not
That's
to.
definitely.
Okay, so then,
so
so then Jesus cursing out the fig tree.
What?
that's a different kind of curse.
Yeah.
That's,
He wasn't cussing. He was just cursing
he
it.
was like, you fig tree.
But then where does it say don't use foul language?
At like several different
Yeah,
places.
it says. Yeah, I literally can look
So
at
then why do we
several-
call it cursing then?
Because that's our human language.
Because that's the word for it.
Wait, what's that one scripture that's like, stop all your dirty talk, say the right same thing at the right time, and help others by what you say? What do you mean about that? I forgot what the reference was.
Well, everything that comes out of our mouth is supposed to glorify God.
Oh,
So
Mm-hmm.
anything that's
Oh,
not,
okay.
it's
just let there be no filthiness, no foolishness.
Yeah, anyways. You
the
know,
definition for profane is anything that is not sacred.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah, if it doesn't glorify God, then it's just
I have over
not-
100.
Yeah.
it's not right.
So-
Yeah, I recently got a new
profanity
badge
is
for
just-
getting over 100 notes.
Ungodly
Any-
talk.
Yeah.
The notepad. Aww.
But technically, in the sense of the word, profane is literally everything that's not sacred. So it doesn't even have to be bad necessarily. It's just profane because it's not sacred.
Right.
That's the definition.
Okay. What is profanity? Blasphemous or obscene language. Oh, well, that was in hell.
Blasphemous. Interesting.
Yeah. What is blasphemy?
Just don't put that on me.
You have a phone. Look it up.
Oh, what phone?
Oh,
We're using our big brains.
exactly.
Exactly. Phone is cheating. Oh, it's all from the heart.
Exactly, yeah.
Everyone put away your Bible.
Oh.
No, I'm just
No.
That's
You can step out of this room.
Can we go back to Joel's point though?
Thank you.
You were talking about how if we just stop feeling like personal anger towards
Yeah.
things and instead just copy what God is angry at.
Yeah, like if we're so connected to God that we feel His anger about something and it's not ours, which would be very hard to do.
technically still possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not human anger. That's God's anger.
Yeah, but it still comes from the emotion anger.
God created anger.
Exactly, so it's not a sin.
Yeah, it's not, but I'm saying that the verse that says human anger can't produce anything righteous is true because if
'Cause
our
human
anger,
yeah.
produces anything righteous, that means that we are experiencing God's anger.
Okay, so in what case would your anger produce something righteous?
Someone sins against you.
No.
Punch him in
That's,
the face.
Huh?
that's revenge.
Someone sins against you and you go to their house and you
You light him up.
Well, that one would just be murder.
No.
Well, I think being
Righteous
angry,
You'll stop their sin, right?
being angry about, okay, being angry about child trafficking.
Yes.
Which part is
Yes.
it?
So that makes God angry. Let's just say that you really feel God's anger. You're experiencing godly anger towards that. Okay.
Right, yeah.
So connected to God.
Well, I don't think you have to be.
No, I know
All that.
but I'm just saying in the context, you're not experiencing human anger. You're experiencing godly anger. So if you're that connected to God, and I mean, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can experience godly.
Can we do a simpler example?
Yeah.
Like
Well, I can't think of any.
like
That's the only thing I think about.
like your brother. He's just being so lazy, you know, and you're not personally angry at them, but God says that he like hates laziness or something.
Oh.
It's like I'd be angry at my brother now.
I don't know.
That's.
Because God also.
Are
has
you being
mercy.
sarcastic right now? Is that? Is that
Okay, what about
Which brother? Whose brother are you talking about?
what about this? What about this? You know how God punishes his? It says he punishes those who he loves.
Yeah.
You know that verse. Okay. What if your child is going down a really bad road, and you're feeling God's anger on it? Let's just say that they did something really bad.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like your child did something
Yeah.
bad? Okay.
They
Let's
ran
say-
away from home.
No, let's say that your
Right,
kid.
no, I'm just kidding.
Let's say that your kid killed somebody, and you found out about it.
Was it a good kind of killing?
No,
Okay.
they're a murderer.
The righteous killer.
Is there righteous killing?
So, if that,
So if you're experiencing godly anger and they killed someone and you want to see justice, like God, and you know that it would be better for them, okay,
To go to jail.
to go to jail, and you turn them in,
Yeah.
would that be sinning?
Well, no.
So that
Also, it says in the Bible that parents are supposed to discipline their kids.
so that's my example of
Are
something
you-
righteous coming from godly anger.
Does God
So you're
support
angry-
anarchy?
Well, I think righteous or godly anger
support snitching.
is, and I think the difference between godly anger and humanly anger is being angry at the sin and not at the person.
Yeah,
So I feel like if your kid went out and they committed a heinous crime and you hated them and you were like so angry at them,
no, that's
that
not
would be
sin.
human
Yeah.
anger. And but if you like hated what they did and you hated their sin, that would be godly anger.
Exactly.
But I don't think with the earlier child trafficking example, you wouldn't have to be completely in tune with God. I'm sure a lot of people
Yeah,
hate
you're right.
the whole child
You're right.
trafficking. But with this example, it's actually great because like it is actually really hard to like separate the sin from the person
Yeah,
and to hate the sin solely, but to love the person because God tells us to love everyone.
yeah.
But He also tells
Like to
us
still be loving to your kid
Yeah.
and compassionate, but like you do turn them in.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great
That's
example.
my
Sorry. I want to go back to yours. Well, the killing. Can we?
What? Is there righteous
Let's talk about the killing. Let's talk about death.
How much more time do you guys
Is
have?
the death penalty biblical? Full circle.
Is the death penalty?
Buddy, what time do you have class?
4.
Alright, cool.
So,
You got like 15
but
minutes.
I live like an hour away from somewhere, not school
What?
though.
There is a place in our room here.
It's just
I
not-
guarantee it.
It does exist.
Wait, so did we come to a decision on this topic?
Well,
What is the
Yeah,
we
what is the
concrete-
verdict?
we never addressed Arya's point at the beginning where she doesn't believe in righteous anger, she
Mm.
believes in like, godly anger.
So what do you?
Well, because I feel like righteous anger is just a loose term that's thrown around to be like, oh, since Jesus did this, it must just be righteous anger. You know?
where does that come from?
I don't know. That's why I brought it up.
It's like how we say Adam's fruit was an apple, but was it an apple?
Yeah. No.
Was it the Goma Goma? fruit?
Probably
I
not.
don't know.
It's probably extinct. Probably died.
Probably, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Evolved.
Evolution.
Don't start. Oh my God. Bring back war flashbacks.
We never finished that. Sorry, audience.
We.
We're not going back to that.
Joel's here.
Evolution.
What?
We can go back to evolution. No.
No.
No, it's fine.
No, no.
Nope.
Oh,
I will say
my
we're
biology
taking
class
that
has taught me
this
so much. I'm ready.
Man, and I studied so much
What
for
is it?
that.
The endo
I have great points.
We're
Sure.
keeping that
You'll never
topic
hear
off the
them.
table.
I have a whole PowerPoint. I don't even know
What do
it
we
is.
think about the endosymbiotic hypothesis?
No.
Everyone,
And it's
Before,
everyone
guys,
stop that conversation now.
is this true that the thing that we came up with is that it's godly anger? Righteous anger doesn't exist. The right word for it is godly anger. And human anger can't produce anything good, but if a human feels godly anger, then that is what is referred to in the Bible. Is that
I feel
where
like
we
that.
landed?
I feel like that's a good conclusion.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
That's good.
It's in concrete. We've said yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.